Revealed, how my granddaughter's touching words inspired my life-changing plan to protect 50,000. Jack Thompson sat on his creaky porch, the sun casting a warm glow over Maple Grove. This picturesque small town, where families gathered on front porches and kids rode their bikes down tree-lined streets, had given him countless memories, yet today it felt heavy. At 70, his once proud existence as a veteran had faded into a struggle. With medical bills stacking up like old newspapers and a leaky roof threatening his home, Jack felt like the walls were closing in, just as despair threatened to engulf him. Lily, his spirited 10-year-old granddaughter, burst into his world like sunlight breaking through the clouds. "Grandpa!" she exclaimed, her wide eyes shimmering with admiration. "You're the strongest person I know. You always help others, why don't you take care of yourself too?" Her words were like a breath of fresh air, startling him out of his spiral of worries. In that moment, a flicker of truth ignited within him. Who was he really helping by neglecting his own needs? For a second, Jack's chest tightened as he wrestled with his dwindling savings, painstakingly set aside for emergencies. Memories flashed through his mind, the endless nights spent serving his country, the promise of the American dream now feeling like quicksand. His heart ached as he recognized the unfair burden carried by so many veterans, like him, whose sacrifices had transformed into financial strain. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. Emboldened by Lily's heartfelt observation, Jack felt a glimmer of determination. He decided he wasn't just a provider, he was part of a community that needed to stand up for one another. He began hosting workshops at the local community center, igniting discussions about the financial struggles veterans and families faced. The warmth of camaraderie blossomed as laughter and discussions filled the space, creating a ripple of hope that traveled through Maple Grove. As the initiative grew, an idea sparked. A town fundraiser would showcase their resilience and unity. This effort would be led by none other than Lily, her enthusiasm contagious as she rallied the neighborhood. The day of the event brought laughter and joy to the air, but every smile reminded Jack of old family rifts they had long ignored. Could he reconcile those ties, or were they too frayed? Then, out of the blue, estranged family members arrived, creating a sharp knot in his stomach. Could he confront years of silence and hurt in front of this lively crowd? Jack's heart pounded, knowing that facing these ghosts might very well mean rebuilding his legacy, not just securing it. He took a breath, prepared to bridge the gap, his gaze locking onto Lily's encouraging smile. In that electrifying moment, he understood that hope was in their hands, and now, it was time to decide: could he step into the light, or would the weight of his past continue to shadow his dreams? Jack took a deep breath, feeling the air cool against his skin as he looked out at the bustling crowd gathered for the fundraiser. The vibrant decorations, handmade by Lily and her friends, fluttered in the light breeze like flags of hope. The laughter of children rang like music, a stark contrast to the turmoil in his heart. Today was supposed to be a celebration, but the bubbling tension between him and his estranged family members loomed over him like dark clouds. With every step he took toward them, a surge of emotion washed over him. Memories flooded back, family barbecues filled with laughter, arguments that felt like they were from a different lifetime, and the tragic silence that had followed. Could he really break free from that silence now, in front of everyone? As he approached, Jack found himself at a crossroads, torn between the remnants of anger and the flicker of forgiveness. "Hey, Jack," a voice broke through his thoughts. It was David, his younger brother, the one who had always carried the lighter side of their family dynamic. David looked older, wearier, but there was a familiar warmth in his eyes. "It's been a while." "Yeah, it has," Jack replied, the weight of years unspoken hanging between them. He glanced around, noticing that Lily was busy chatting with friends. The innocence of her laughter bolstered his resolve. Maybe this was the moment he had to seize. "You doing all right?" David asked, concern creeping into his tone. Jack nodded, not wanting to admit the struggles he faced. Instead, he thought of what Lily believed he had to take care of himself. "We're actually working on something big here today," Jack said, gesturing back toward the crowd. "Lily and I started a fundraiser for veterans and community support. It's important to us." David's expression softened, hinting at the vestiges of brotherly pride. "That's great, Jack. I admire you for that." The small compliment lingered, a fragile bridge built over the chasm of years lost. Jack took one more breath, gauging whether he could say more. "We've had our differences, Dave. Maybe today is a chance to set that aside." Before David could respond, a loud cheer erupted from the crowd, snapping them both from their moment. Lily had taken the stage with a microphone, her small frame glowing with excitement. "Thank you all for coming. This is for everyone who needs help, and I know my grandpa has a lot to say too." Jack's heart swelled with pride but also with anxiety. The eyes of the crowd shifted to him. Every familiar face in the crowd felt like a reminder of his past mistakes where he failed in connection, in voice, but now, those very mistakes urged him toward a reclamation. It was time to step forward, to voice his truths. "All right, everyone," Jack called, raising his hand for silence. As the rambunctious energy quieted, he felt the beads of perspiration trickle down his temples. "I want to thank you all for being here. It matters more than you know. Today is not just about the money raised, it's about us, coming together as a community." As he spoke, he caught Lily's eye, and the simple encouragement in her gaze propelled him forward. "I know we've had our disagreements, but as I look out at this crowd, I realize, the past doesn't have to define us." The resonance of his words hung in the air, a fragile yet powerful statement. Could this be the moment where healing began? Whatever road lay ahead, Jack felt a sense of purpose stirring within him, a promise to not only himself but to his family, that he wouldn't shy away anymore. But as he continued, he caught a glimpse of someone at the edge of the crowd, a face he hadn't seen in years: his eldest daughter. The emotion swept over him like a tidal wave. This wasn't just about healing old wounds, it might require a struggle he never expected. Would he find the strength to continue? Could he truly mend what he had broken? The crowd slowly settled, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Jack's heart pounded harder now, each thump echoing in his ears as he gripped the microphone more tightly. There, at the edge of that vibrant sea of familiar faces and blurred memories, stood Mia, his eldest daughter. Time had etched lines of maturity across her youthful face, but those same eyes that once sparkled with innocence still held a glare of discomfort and curiosity. His words faltered for a moment. He wanted to call her name, to break the tension, but the weight of years of silence pulled him back. Instead, he took a breath, letting it steady him. "Today isn't only about raising money," he continued, the conviction growing in his voice. "It's about connection, about rebuilding the ties that bind us: family, friends, and every one of you in this community." He could feel David's presence. His brother shifted beside him, deftly trying to ease the growing tension. "You're doing great," he whispered, a reminder that he wasn't alone in this. Jack decided to follow that thread, drawing strength from not just his brother but from the multitude gathered before him. "I know we've faced storms as a family. I understand we can't change the past, but we can choose how we move forward. I want to rebuild those bridges, starting today." As he spoke, Mia moved slowly closer, her gaze unwavering. The crowd remained silent, caught in a mixture of disbelief and attentive hope. Jack felt it too: a spreading warmth, a recognition that something special was unfolding here. "I want you all to know that every dollar raised today helps veterans." His voice cracked, but he pressed on. "And community programs we believe can truly change lives. But what I really want to share, what I need to say, is that we have the power to change our own lives too." Mia finally stepped forward, her timid pace gaining confidence. "Dad." The sincerity in her voice cut through the silence, sending ripples of surprise through the audience. "Can I say something?" Jack's heart skipped. It was the plea of a daughter yearning for connection, and it struck a chord deep within him. "Of course, sweetheart." As she took the mic, the uncertain chatter of the crowd paused again, eyes fixed upon her. "I know our family has been through so much," she began, her voice strong despite the tremor hinting at vulnerability. "It's hard not to feel angry or sad about things that happened. But when Lily asked me to come today, I realized it matters. It matters to me, to our family, to see us all together." Jack's chest tightened. A tentative smile crept across his face as he watched Mia gather her thoughts. "You know, just because things are broken doesn't mean we can't fix them. Even little pieces can come together and make something beautiful." The sincerity in her words struck with unexpected force like a ray of light shining through a dark cloud. It pulled at the heartstrings of those gathered, leaving ripples of acknowledgement. In that moment, as Jack looked at Mia, he recognized a reflection of hope. His daughter had a resilience he admired and a spirit that demanded healing. The ache in his heart began to soften. But as the applause erupted around them, Jack noticed Mia's gaze shift to the back of the crowd, her expression shifting from joy to caution. He followed her line of sight and felt his own heart plummet. There stood Marissa, the mother of his children, the one he had lost touch with, the one he had wronged. Jack's resolve faltered, uncertainty creeping back in. How would he navigate this unintended reunion? Could he find a way to address his fractured past with the very person who held his heart and his daughter's in her hands? The stakes were higher than he could have imagined. With every heartbeat, the possibility of connection trembled in the air, brimming with everything they needed. Would they find a way back to each other, or would the past drag them under once more? Mia's voice faded into a backdrop of applause, but Jack could barely hear it over the rush of emotions flooding his mind. Marissa stood still, her expression unreadable. The air crackled with tension, and it felt like a physical barrier between them, one that had taken years to build. "Hey," David said, nudging Jack lightly. "You all right?" Jack's fingers gripped the mic tighter, as if that could stabilize him. "I don't know what to say," he muttered, his heart racing anew, both hopeful and fearful. "Just be honest," David urged. "You owe her that much." The crowd's attention began to drift, their faces still hopeful but now questioning what would happen next. He knew he had to say something. It was time. Everyone," he said, his voice rising above the fading applause. "If I may just add something." He took a shaky breath, mustering his courage. "I see someone here who has been a significant part of my life, Marissa." The name rolled off his tongue like a numbing incantation. A mix of fear and longing collected in the back of his throat. Marissa's eyes locked onto his, searching, perhaps for answers or closure. "Would you come up here?" The request slipped out before he could contemplate it, his heart now a hammer in his chest. There were gasps from the crowd, murmurs that spread like wildfire. Jack could feel the weight of every gaze, and part of him wanted to turn and run, but he stayed rooted. Mia shifted next to him, her brow furrowed but her trust apparent. "You can do this, Dad," she whispered. With slow, hesitant steps, Marissa made her way to the front. Each stride seemed to carry the baggage of the years they had spent apart, the laughter, the heartbreak, and the estrangement etched onto her features. The crowd watched in silence, the air thick with anticipation. As she reached the mic, their eyes met, and for a moment, they were in a world of their own. Time folded, and memories rushed back. Laughter over dinner, quiet nights watching movies, and the joy of their daughters. But it was also marred by regret and silence. "Jack," Marissa began softly, her voice a comforting balm. "I didn't expect to see you here today. I came for the girls." "I know," he replied, his voice steadier than he felt. I thought we could all be together again. I'd like that." The honesty hung in the air, heavy yet hopeful. "I've missed so much," Jack continued, "and I know I haven't always been the man you needed." Marissa nodded, her eyes brightening. "It's been hard for both of us." The crowd listened intently, the tension slipping into a bond of shared understanding. Behind them, Mia stepped closer, her hand resting on Jack's shoulder, a gesture of support. "I want to change," he confessed, the words spilling forth, tumbling out like a long overdue apology. "For me, for the girls, for you. Can we start anew?" Marissa looked out at the crowd, then back at Jack. There was a flicker of hope in her eyes, a glimpse of the love that once flourished between them. "I want that too," she whispered, but a shadow of hesitation lingered. "But it's not just about us, Jack. We need to go slowly. One step at a time." A collective sigh seemed to echo through the crowd, as everyone inhaled hope and tension both. Jack felt gratitude wash over him. "I can do that," he replied, a smile breaking through, even in uncertainty. "Together, right?" But just as the mood shifted from tension to relief, a ripple of commotion at the edge of the crowd caught his attention. A young girl, no older than 10, was struggling to make her way through the throng. Her delicate face twisted with worry, and she clutched a folded piece of paper tightly in her hand. "What is going on?" Mia whispered, sharing her father's concern. As the girl approached, panting slightly, Jack felt a thread of urgency pull at him. This unexpected interruption had the potential to change everything. "What is it?" he asked, kneeling to meet the child's gaze, bracing for whatever revelation awaited him. "Mr. Jack!" she exclaimed, breathless. "I have a message from Grandma." His heart sank as another layer of uncertainty piled on top of everything already happening. What could this mean? What other truths were they about to face? Jack's heart pounded in anticipation, a collision of past and possible futures swirling around him. What message could unravel the fragile threads they were attempting to weave back together? Jack's breath caught in his throat as he processed the girl's words. The mention of Grandma twisted his heart, a reminder of the family ties that once felt unbreakable. What does she want to tell me?" he asked, curiosity mixed with dread. The girl's small hand shook as she unfolded the paper, her fingers trembling with the weight of her task. She said you needed to know something important." The crowd hung on to her every word, the air charged with suspense. Jack leaned closer, urgency coursing through him. "What is it?" he pressed. "She's worried about you and Mama. She wants you both to be happy, and she says things can still change." The girl shuffled her feet, glancing up at Marissa, who knelt to meet her eye level. "She knows you both love each other, even if it's hard sometimes." Marissa's face softened, the tension in her shoulders easing as she listened to the girl. Jack felt a warmth blossoming inside him. Perhaps this was the moment he could finally reach across the chasm years had carved between them. "Your grandma," he started, struggling with the emotions. "She always had that gift for seeing the best in people. Even when they cannot see it themselves." "Yes," the girl exclaimed, her face lighting up. "She also said that when we hold on to the past too tightly, it can hurt us. It's like holding a balloon and not letting it fly." Jack exchanged a glance with Marissa, the metaphor ringing true. It felt like they had both been holding on to past hurts rather than letting go and learning to move forward together. "What can we do?" Mia chimed in, her voice breaking the spell. "We can listen to her, right?" "We should try." Marissa nodded slowly, her eyes glistening now. "There's so much we still have to talk about, to heal. But can we do it together?" she asked Jack, her tone saturated with a mix of hope and vulnerability. "I think so," he replied, the spark of commitment igniting within him. "But only if we promise to be open and honest. No more walls. Just us and the girls." The young girl beamed at them, the energy around them shifting from uncertainty to renewed purpose. "So what did Grandma say?" Dictated urgency filled Jack's words. He couldn't shake the feeling that this moment had somehow been orchestrated, a luminous signal from fate itself. The girl hesitated, her brows furrowing in thought. "She said something about a family meeting and that everyone should say one good thing about each other." A ripple of laughter and whispers ran through the crowd at the lightness of it. Jack chuckled, picturing all the years they'd spent avoiding those very conversations. "All right," he said, "I'm in. Let us have that meeting." Marissa reached over, squeezing his hand instinctively. "I'll join too. We can dare to be vulnerable together." Mia's face glowed, excitement bubbling forth. "Can I write down what everyone says? It can be our new family book." Her enthusiasm was infectious, weaving through the crowd like a song. Jack stood up, buoyed by his daughter's suggestion. "All right, let us make this happen. With the girls, just like old times." Just then, a loud clap echoed from a few feet away. A tall man with a friendly face approached, his presence commanding attention. Jack recognized him from his past as a longtime family friend. "Jack, Marissa," he said, "I couldn't help but overhear. I think that's a great idea. I also have something to share." His face turned serious, contrasting the lightness of the moment. Jack's heart raced again. What could this friend possibly want to add that would change everything they had just begun to reconstruct? Each word felt like a potential thread pulling them apart or pulling them closer. Jack felt the ground shifting beneath him, as if the past and future held their breath, waiting for what was to come next. Would this new contribution solidify their chances at a fresh start, or would it open old wounds they thought were on the mend? "Are you guys ready for this?" the friend asked, his voice low but firm, drawing everyone's attention. Jack's pulse quickened. "Dave, what is it?" Jack asked, the weight of his gaze locking in on him. Dave took a deep breath. His expression seemed to shift through layers: concern, resolve, and then a touch of warmth. "I know things have been complicated," Dave began, glancing between Jack and Marissa. "But I couldn't stay silent any longer. Your grandma reached out to me just a few days before she passed." Jack felt the air knock out of him. A rush of emotion swelled, sorrow mixing in with the moment. He hadn't realized how much he needed this connection. "Before I tell you what she said, you need to understand that family isn't just about bloodlines, it's about bonds and the people you choose to keep close," Dave continued gently. Mia looked up at her dad, her confusion evident. "What do you mean, Mr. Dave?" Dave knelt down to her level. "I mean that even when things seem broken, they can be fixed if we're brave enough to try." He straightened up and addressed everyone again. "Your grandma wanted you to know that forgiveness was at the heart of healing, that letting go was vital." Marissa nodded, tears forming as she absorbed his words. "She always believed in second chances," she murmured, uncertainty wavering at the corners of her voice. "Exactly," Dave said, locking eyes with both of them. "She left behind something special for you too, a plan for how to keep your family connected, and how to move forward." Jack felt a mix of awe and anxiety. "What do you mean, a plan?" Taking a small, worn envelope from his pocket, Dave handed it over. "There's a list of things she imagined you'd do, traditions to start, stories to share. It's like your own family rulebook." Marissa took the envelope, her hands shaking with anticipation. "Also," Dave added, his voice breaking slightly, "she wanted to arrange a gathering, an event to bring everyone together, everyone you care about, in her honor." Jack couldn't believe it. It felt almost poetic, a last attempt from Grandma to shed light on the darkness that had crept in with the years. A gathering? Did she specify when? "Soon," Dave replied. "She knew time was precious, just like the relationships we build. By creating this, she believed healing could begin. It's about love." Mia peered closely at her parents. "Can we do it? Can we really change everything?" Jack looked to Marissa, searching her eyes. "What do you think?" Her tear-filled gaze softened as she nodded slowly. If this is what Grandma wanted, Jack felt a stirring in his heart, a sense of purpose threatening to break through layers of hesitation. "Yes, let us do it for her. For our family." The weight of that decision felt monumental, yet liberating. Jack glanced around the group, faces alight with cautious optimism. Before he could voice another thought, the girl who had spoken first stepped forward again. "Can I come to the gathering?" she asked with wide eyes. Jack knelt down to her level. "Of course, your grandma would love that." As her face lit up, Jack felt hope blossom within him. Perhaps this was the moment they had all been waiting for, a chance to reshape their narrative. But just as the mood shifted, a sudden ringing broke the moment, a familiar tone, his phone vibrating urgently in his pocket. Jack pulled it out, glancing at the screen. It was an unknown number, but the instinctive thump in his chest urged him to answer. A shadow of anxiety brushed against his heart. What if this call held news that could throw everything into disarray? "Hello?" he answered, the sound of his own voice wavering with uncertainty. Jack, the voice on the other end, was calm but held a chilling heaviness. "We need to talk about your grandma's estate." In that moment, Jack's heart sank, as new doubts flooded his mind. Would this news change the very path they were trying to forge together? Jack's heart raced as he felt the gravity of the voice on the line. Each word hung in the air like a heavy storm cloud. He could practically feel the tension swirling around him. "What do you mean?" Jack tried to keep his voice steady, but it broke slightly. "What's south wrong with her estate?" There was a pause, and in that silence, Jack imagined an array of possible scenarios playing out in his mind. Perhaps there were forgotten debts. Or hidden secrets he had never known about. "Your grandmother, she left behind more than just memories. There are things we need to go over, a will, assets, and a few surprises you might not expect." Surprises? Jack felt the weight of confusion, tangled up with dread. How could surprises be good when it involved finances and the estate of someone he loved? "I need to meet with you. This is urgent," the voice insisted, and Jack noted the authority behind it. "Fine. When?" "Tomorrow at her place, 10 a.m. The call ended abruptly, and Jack stood frozen, the phone still in his hand. Mia's small voice broke through, delicate with concern. "Daddy? Is everything okay?" He turned to her, gathering the fragments of his thoughts. "Yeah, sweetie. Just adult stuff." Marissa was watching him, her eyes probing for answers. "What did they say?" Jack swallowed hard. "We need to talk about Grandma's estate. There are details, things we weren't told." Marissa's expression darkened, apprehension radiating through the space between them. What could it be? He shrugged, unable to offer any comfort. "I don't know just yet. But I'm worried it will complicate everything." "Jack, we just decided to take this step, to move forward," Marissa said, her voice rising slightly. "I don't want anything to ruin this for us." The air suddenly felt thick with tension, leaving Jack struggling to breathe. "I feel the same way. But I can't ignore it either. If it's something big." Mia interrupted, "What if we think about Grandma's plan? It might help." Her innocent enthusiasm did little to ease their grown-up worries, yet it sparked an idea in Jack. "Let us look at that envelope. Maybe there's something there that will guide us or at least help." With a nod, Marissa opened the envelope, her hands shaking slightly. She pulled out the first sheet, a list of tasks Grandma hoped they would embrace. "We could start here," Jack said, scanning the paper. "Maybe if we love and connect now, it will sway whatever is coming at us. Maybe we could list what's important to us," Marissa added, her focus shifting, a glimmer of hope lighting her eyes. "What traditions do we want to pass down?" As they worked together, the atmosphere lightened. They shared laughter and memories, and it soon felt like Grandma was there, guiding them through the exercise. As sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating their faces, Jack realized that nurturing their bond as a family was precisely what Grandma had intended, but as they crafted their new beginnings, Jack couldn't shake the anxious feeling that lingered. The looming meeting weighed on his mind as if it were an anchor, threatening to pull all progress down with it. Suddenly, Mia's voice broke through again. "Can we write Grandma a letter? Like a thank you for the plan?" "That's a wonderful idea," Marissa replied, her voice teetering between excitement and tenderness. Jack smiled, inspired by the notion. Let us do it together. As they prepared to write, the tangled web of emotions seemed to untangle for a moment. But deep down, Jack knew this blissful feeling was fragile. The unknown still awaited him, and he felt it lurking. As the three of them scribbled their notes, he couldn't help but wonder, would tomorrow's news send them crashing back into uncertainty, or would it open the door to the possibilities that Grandma had envisioned? Was the gathering still an option after all? Morning light spilled into the kitchen, filling the room with a soft glow as Jack brewed coffee. He moved on autopilot, lost in thought. Mia and Marissa were still asleep, the sound of their gentle breaths a small comfort amid the chaos of what was to come. He poured himself a cup, the steam curling up like unspoken worries. Last night felt like a disconnect, an island he couldn't quite reach. He wanted to cherish the letters they had written, the love they had found, but dread hung thick in the air like storm clouds. What awaited him at Grandma's house? What secrets would be revealed? He shook his head to dislodge the worries swirling around. His phone buzzed on the countertop, jerking him back to the moment. A text from Marissa, a simple, "Good morning." But it was the emoji sunshine and hearts that made him smile. Even through the unease, her warmth shone through. He texted back quickly, "Morning." Coffee on the counter. The gentle thud of footsteps followed, and soon Mia appeared, her hair sticking up in disarray, eyes still half closed. "Daddy? Can I have breakfast now?" "Of course, kiddo. What do you want?" "Pancakes. Like Grandma used to make." She chimed, her eyes lighting up. Jack felt a pang. The echoes of Grandma's laughter filled the room as he imagined her flapping her apron, turning the kitchen into a bustling cafe. "All right, pancakes it is," he said, trying to keep his voice light, while his heart ached with the weight of memories. While flipping pancakes, Mia started to hum a tune something Grandma once sang. It drew Jack's attention, and he couldn't help but join in softly. The kitchen soon filled with their laughter as they made a mess of flour and syrup. For those brief moments, the anxiety was pushed aside. "Can we eat with Grandma sometimes? When we visit?" Mia asked, her innocent question piercing through Jack's heart. He bit back the tears, swallowing hard. "Sure. Grandpa would love that." He desperately wanted to offer her that comfort. After breakfast, they dressed in their best for the meeting. Jack watched as Marissa carefully adjusted her hair in the mirror, her eyes swirling with determination. She turned to him. "Are you ready?" "Ready as I can be," he replied, unsure if his heart would be ready for what was to unfold. As they stepped out the door, the driveway felt longer, almost endless. Each step was weighed down by 1,000 unasked questions. Would it be the hidden debts? A lost treasure? Or something far darker? When they reached Grandma's house, the air felt thick. The familiar creak of the door as it opened sent a shiver down Jack's spine. It was like stepping into an echo. The space was still, but every corner whispered memories, family photos lining the walls, her favorite armchair, the scent of lemon polish still lingering. Suddenly, the doorbell rang, snapping Jack from his reverie. He glanced at Marissa, her eyes wide with surprise and trepidation. This was it. They had to face whatever was beyond the door. With a deep breath, Jack opened it, revealing a tall man in a dark suit, briefcase in hand and an expression that bore urgency. "Mr. Thompson?" "Yes, that's me." Jack replied, his throat dry. The man's gaze was steady, but there was a weight to it. "I believe we have much to discuss about your grandmother's will." Jack's heart sank, and he felt Mia squeeze his hand tightly. The unknown stretched out before them, dark and intimidating. What could it possibly be? As the man stepped inside, Jack braced for the storm that promised to unfold, knowing that this moment would change everything. Was Grandma's final chapter one of despair, or would it grant them clarity on their path forward? The man walked in slowly, the air becoming heavier with each step. Jack shut the door behind him, sealing them within the memories of Grandma's house as if to protect them from whatever was about to unfold. The stranger's eyes moved around the room, scanning the photographs and the nostalgia they carried. There was a briefly uncomfortable silence before he cleared his throat. "I'm Mr. Hastings, your grandmother's attorney," he said, his voice measured but firm. Jack felt a slight tremor in his heart. The words grandmother and attorney felt like stones dropped into a peaceful pond, causing ripples of anxiety he couldn't shake. "What does Grandma want us to know?" he asked, though the question felt more like a plea than Mr. Hastings closed his briefcase and placed it on the coffee table. He pulled out a folder, its contents bulging slightly. "Your grandmother left behind a will, naturally, but there's more. She had some concerns she wanted to address directly." Mia, still holding Jack's hand, looked up curiously, her innocent eyes searching his for reassurance. He squeezed her hand, a small gesture of strength. "What kind of concerns?" Jack asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "During her final days, your grandmother exhibited a remarkable clarity," Mr. Hastings began, flipping through the pages of the will. "She expressed a wish to ensure the security of your family, specifically, Mia's future. She wanted to create a fund for her education, alongside specific instructions that would reach far beyond mere financial provisions." A thread of warmth spread through Jack, mixing with the chill of the impending revelations. "And the amount?" he whispered, fearing yet hopeful of the answer. Mr. Hastings looked up, meeting Jack's gaze squarely. "She bequeathed 50,000 in trust for Mia. It's to be used exclusively for her schooling and future endeavors. There are stipulations, though." Jack felt his jaw tighten. "What kind of stipulations?" "Your grandmother wanted you and Marissa to be safeguarded in managing this fund. Should anything happen to you, it would pass to Mia's guardians, but under strict conditions set forth in this document." She expressed worry about the financial crises families can encounter. She wanted to protect her, no matter what. The gravity of her foresight sank in, heavy and grounding. Jack couldn't control the tears that pricked at the edges of his eyes. Grandma had always seen beyond the present, always considered their family's legacy. Even in her absence, Marissa, who had been quietly standing by, took a step closer. "Is there a way for us to access it sooner? For college, for example?" Mr. Hastings nodded thoughtfully. "Yes, there are provisions for early access, but it requires a meeting with the trustees and proper documentation to validate any urgent needs." Jack took a breath, the path ahead becoming clearer yet still daunting. "Can we do this? Can we make it work?" "Absolutely," Hastings assured. "But it takes cooperation and fortitude." Mia's small voice broke through the tension. "Grandma really loved me, huh?" Tears filled Jack's eyes again, and he nodded slowly. "More than we can even understand, sweetheart." They all stood in an unsteady unity, clinging to the gravity of her love and the hope she had provided. The house seemed warmer now, infused with the presence of Grandma, her laughter, her courage, her unwavering love. As they sat down to discuss specifics, Jack felt a sense of determination wash over him. They would get through this, together, honoring Grandma's wishes while forging their own path ahead. But beneath the surface, a knot of fear twisted tight. What other surprises lay waiting in the depths of that folder? Jack stole a glance at Marissa, her face a mask of focused determination. "What else is in there?" he asked Hastings, his heart quickening. With a faint, cryptic smile, Mr. Hastings leaned back, leaving them hanging on the precipice of revelation. "Let's just say there's more to uncover, and it may just change everything you thought you knew about your grandmother." The weight of his words hung heavy as Jack leaned forward, eager and anxious, ready to meet whatever truth was waiting in the shadows. As the words echoed in the room, a silence draped itself over them like a thick fog. Jack's heart raced, sharp and quick. What more had Grandma left behind? What uncharted territories were they about to step into? Mr. Hastings opened the folder and pulled out a weathered piece of parchment. "This," he began, fostering a hush, "isn't just her will. It's a letter she wrote during her final days. Jack felt the air in his lungs constricting, overwhelming emotions swirling within him. Marissa leaned forward, gripping Jack's arm, expressing their shared anticipation. "Dear Jack and Marissa," Mr. Hastings read, his voice steady yet tender. "If you're reading this, then I've finally let go. But know that I carry you all within my heart." Jack's eyes misted. The weight of Grandma's love wrapped around him, enveloping him like a warm embrace. "Life is a journey of ups and downs," Hastings continued, "and I wrote this to share a few things I never quite found enough courage to say while I was with you. You see, family isn't about perfection, it's about understanding, acceptance, and love." With every word, memories flooded Jack's mind: the laughter, the lessons, the unresolved disputes that had once felt insurmountable. He glanced at Mia, whose innocent eyes were wide, soaking in the words of her grandmother. "Forgive one another, for we all falter," Hastings read. "Remember the joy we shared and let that strength bind you through the challenges. Embrace the love that's still in your family." It was as if each line shifted centuries of hurt and regret. The atmosphere lightened, the heaviness lifting slightly, their spirits rising with every echo of Grandma's voice. Jack felt the barriers within him begin to crack. "Now listen closely, there's more," Hastings continued, his tone gentle yet firm. "After my passing, I want you to gather. Share memories, celebrate our family over stories and laughter as I did with my family before me. Let the gatherings hold the weight of our heritage and the joy of our connections." A wave of realization washed over Jack. This was about healing. This was Grandma's final command, a guidepost shining through the darkest of paths ahead. His heart swelled with gratitude. "You have the power to mend the broken, to build new legacies," Hastings read, pausing for effect. "And I, as always, believe in you." The letter drew to a close with two final instructions. Use the provided trust not just for expenses but as a second chance to be together, to build bonds that you thought were lost forever. Jack's voice wavered as he asked, "What do you mean?" Hastings flipped over a page. "Your grandmother thought a family retreat could help. She wanted peace for you all, an atmosphere where healing could flourish. She believed getting away together would allow you to converse without the pressures of daily life." "Where?" Marissa asked, hope igniting within her. "A sunny lakeside cabin she owned. You could reflect, discuss, remember, and grow," he replied with warmth. "The dates are flexible to your availability." The air in the room buzzed with excitement and renewed purpose. Together, they could heal. Jack felt the weight of Grandma's foresight. She believed change could happen, and all they had to do was embrace the love that would follow. "Can we truly do this?" Jack whispered, almost to himself. Marissa squeezed his hand tightly. "We can. It's what Grandma wanted. A fresh start." "Exactly," Hastings affirmed, closing the folder. "I believe this is your chance to redefine your family, to walk forward into a future less burdened." She believed healing was possible. Tears filled Jack's eyes as he looked around the room. They had weathered storms, they had faced the worst of life. But this? This was a radiant opportunity, a moment crafted by love that could light their way into a new era. He nodded slowly, determination blossoming. As they talked later that day, planning and brainstorming over Grandma's wishes, laughter began to bubble through the air, and hope flickered bright. Jack felt lighter, freer, as the walls he had built around his heart began to disintegrate. "Mia," he said, grinning widely, "let us make this family gathering unforgettable. You can create games for us to play, write down stories. Just imagine the futures we can build." Mia's eyes sparkled with joy. "I can do that. And I'll ask everyone to share one good memory about each person," she exclaimed excitedly, her enthusiasm infectious. Marissa watched them, her heart warming with the realization that they were not just healing, but crafting something profound together. The journey ahead felt promising, a canvas yet to be filled with laughter, love, and family ties, days turned into weeks, and Jack felt a transformation ripple through him, a renewed sense of purpose blossoming. They started organizing more fundraisers, they embraced community connections and used every earned penny to build a better future for their family and others like them. Unity sparked and ignited a fire in Maple Grove, and Jack finally felt the shadows of his past lifting. Jack stood on his porch now, much later, a deep sense of accomplishment washing over him. He watched as Mia and Lily played in the yard. Every laugh, every moment flooded him with gratitude. The weight of the past faded further away. He thought of Grandma, her spirit guiding them still. They would honor her legacy together, unwavering, united. As the sun sank low in the horizon, a warmth spread through him. Was this the life he had dreamt of? Yes. This was only the beginning of fulfilling, united life where love conquered all, and with every step forward, Jack knew in his heart they would keep Grandma's wisdom alive. Generosity, love, and forgiveness would be their guiding lights as they embraced the journey ahead. This was hope shimmering in the twilight. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now and help feed the algorithm. Comment how this story made you feel and your own thoughts about transformation. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this life-changing journey. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand how important it is to support the channel through these actions.